Hello and good morning, everyone. I am Joe Prisco. I am joined by Brittany Jones, one of the newest members of our staff here at Dillard for our one-on-one interview session. So Brittany, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well this morning. How are you, Joe?
Doing wonderful, doing wonderful. It's a beautiful
Good.
sunny day, a little cool, reminds me of the early fall in Chicagoland area. So
Just a little bit.
as long as we don't deal with the snow, I think we're both okay though.
For sure, for sure.
Also the entire city of New Orleans, because I think if they get snow,
It'll shut down.
exactly. So, okay, we'll get into your questions. What drew you to take the job here at Dillard?
So I'm a recent graduate from the University of South Florida. I got my master's in athletic training, and I think during this time, I wasn't familiar with Dillard at all before applying to the job, but I saw a job posting for auctioneer, which I wanted to get a job where I could do outreach athletic training, but also have clinic responsibilities. And so after going through the interview process and talking with Mark, it seemed to be a great fit. Mark kind of talked to me about how the structure at Dillard works, and then Kyra also kind of explained the environment and the family atmosphere at Dillard, and I think it was a great fit. So here I am.
Awesome. So for those people that aren't familiar with what an athletic trainer does, kind of just briefly go through your day-to-day duties and the sort of things you do as an athletic trainer.
Yeah. The biggest thing as an athletic trainer, we're healthcare providers where we focus primarily on prevention, maintenance, and rehabilitation of acute as well as chronic injuries. And so primarily my role at Dillard, I cover women's basketball as well as track and field. And so I'm here to facilitate any of the athletes' healthcare needs, whether that be from aches and pains as it pertains to their sport, or it could be general medical conditions where we need to refer them to our doctors for further medical treatment, or it could be like an acute injury where someone has injured themselves during practice and we need to evaluate them and see whether it's something that we can manage here as far as rehab, or if maybe we see if they need to go into the doctor to see if they need surgical intervention. So.
Okay. And also, I know that you work as part of the medical field. You've had to be extensively trained. So, kind of briefly go through some of your training, some of your previous experiences as an athletic trainer.
Right. So, as I mentioned, this is my first career move as an athletic trainer as a recent graduate. So most of my athletic training experience has been as a student at the University of South Florida. So there we're required to do a clinical rotations. My program was set up where we did 3 my first year as a graduate student. So I was with St. Leo University where I covered women's volleyball. And so there you work under a preceptor, you kind of are guided as far as athletic training, room management, patient interaction. And then we're also, I think my next rotation was at a high school where there's a variety of sports. So you cover young athletes and what they need and their interactions between the parent and the patient and trying to consolidate that information. And then I was also with track and field in that following spring. And so it's a lot of information to retain. It's a lot of information as far as anatomy. We have to be very knowledgeable about anatomy because we're looking at the body, right? These are human movement that we have to understand, prevention of injuries that we have to understand. So it's a lot of anatomy. I've taken biomechanics courses, understanding how the body works, which is really important. And then some courses very minor as far as strength and conditioning on the other end. Let's say if somebody came out post-operatively, getting them back to return to their sport, there's some kind of intervention where we need them to be prepared as far as cardiac clearance. So.
Okay. And, heavily involved with the medical field. Did you always know you wanted to be an athletic trainer, or was this something that, because to have an interest in this field, you have to really enjoy the sciences, you have to really enjoy math, you have to really enjoy athletics. So what drew you to the field?
For sure. So to answer the first part, I wasn't initially drawn to athletic training. Growing up through high school, I didn't know what an athletic trainer was. I'd never seen an athletic trainer. So when I first went to college, I was a marketing major. But then I realized while I was good at that, it wasn't exactly fulfilling. It wasn't something that I really was interested in. And so a friend of mine was an exercise science major. And I was talking with her and speaking with her about just the classes that she was taking, and it seemed very interesting. So I took it upon myself to do an observation with an athletic training in Chicago, and then it kind of clicked. I had a light bulb moment, and I was just like, this is what I want to do. I love being around athletes. I love this medical aspect that you get, this healthcare aspect that you get with being with athletes. So it's definitely interesting because you get to be around sports. You get to be in that environment where everybody's passionate about what they want to do, right? But I also get this healthcare side where I'm caring for the athletes. I'm taking care of them medically. I'm taking care of them physically as well as mentally. So it's a great draw for me.
Okay. Did you play any sports growing up, or having familiarity with sports is important, but it's not crucial. Did you play any sports growing up?
If you count dance as a sport, I
Yes.
danced growing up from a young age, and then I also swam in high school. But when I got to college, that kind of all just flew by the wayside. I wasn't really involved
No problem.
as far as a sport in college. But growing up, I did dance.
Okay. And I know you've only been at Dillard for a brief period of time, but as you kind of evaluate, your time here, what's being at Dillard taught you so far?
I think the biggest thing it's taught me is that there's always space for you to do work and for you to step up and help where needed. Dillard is probably the smallest place that I've been at. And this environment lends itself to being a space where you can recognize that although this is my role, this is what I'm here to do, there's always other areas where you can help out. There's always other spaces where someone needs something that I have no problem saying like, hey, yeah, I can take care of that for you with no issue. So I think it's a really family oriented, and it's really a place where, you can help out where you can. So I enjoy that.
And we're still in the pandemic, obviously. I think athletic training has been affected by the pandemic as much as any position in athletics. So as you look at how has your job changed, or maybe some additional things you've had to do in order to keep the athletes safe during this period of time?
I think the biggest component that we've had to adjust is making sure that our athletes are participating in their COVID screenings. It's really important that we make sure that we not only are maintaining the health of our athletes, but everyone that they come in contact with. I know that's kind of hard because we're on a college campus and you can't monitor what they do outside of their sport, right? But as far as making sure they're answering their COVID questionnaires every day, making sure that we're providing them with temperature screens is a big component that we've never had to do before, these items that, we weren't really thinking about prior to being in a pandemic. And then making sure that we're following up with them if we do have positive cases, which is a really important part, following that after piece of what's happening with that athlete.
Awesome. And I know that, in your hands and Mark's hands, that the athletes feel very, very safe with all you're doing for the precautions and whatnot.
Thank you for saying that.
So you mentioned before you hadn't had a previous connection to Dillard. Had you had a previous connection? You ever been to New Orleans before this period of time?
Prior to now, I have been to New Orleans. I had done a few years ago a mission trip with my church to New Orleans with rebuilding, doing like Habitat for Humanity, that kind of thing. And then also in undergrad, I came here as a spring break immersion, also opportunity to do Habitat for Humanity, as well as doing some college tours, but they were mostly college tours with the sports med component. So it was at Tulane and I think LSU Health Campus.
Okay.
But
Awesome. So, and I know that like you moved here, well, it was still very much during a lockdown situation. So kind of talk to us a little about that experience of moving here to New Orleans when things were kind of locked up a little bit, finding housing and everything else like that. So,
so I've moved I'm originally from Chicago, as I've mentioned before. So I've had experience moving outside of Chicago, right? The normal going to look for an apartment, hunting, physically being able to see an apartment. Because of the pandemic and quarantine and everything, that was kind of tricky. I didn't know how that was going to work. I haven't looked at New Orleans as a place where I ever wanted to live before, so I didn't know what to expect, and I don't know anyone here. So the biggest challenge for me was trying to find a place to live, and all of that was done virtually. Like
Nice.
I never came to New Orleans prior to starting my job physically to look for an apartment. So a lot of the companies here were very willing to do virtual tours, which is great. And luckily I was able to find an apartment where I feel safe. It's in a safe environment, and it actually looks like the virtual tour that I was on, because I was afraid that I would find something and then I get here and it was completely different. But thankfully, it's been
Awesome.
good.
Also, you mentioned too, that it was a giant leap of faith. And credit has to go to you that you really didn't know anybody in New Orleans.
Nope.
A similar story for me. But you're just taking the chance on a city and a job that you want. So
Exactly.
all the credit to you. So that's great, Brittany.
Thank you.
We'll talk a little bit about you. Who are some people that inspire you or have inspired you throughout your life?
I would say the biggest inspiration is definitely my mom. That may sound cliche to say, but she has been just the biggest support ever. She's raised my brother and I as a single mother, and she's done it all without ever blinking an eye. She's been very supportive. She was always, she herself has never lived anywhere other than Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's always pushed my brother and I to get experience, even if, that's home for us. She wants us to go out and branch out and be great individual people, right, and gain other experience in other places. And I really appreciate her for encouraging me to do so. Like you mentioned before, this was a big leap of faith for me, and especially during a time that we're living in right now, not knowing anybody, not being in New Orleans physically to get a feel for the city. But it was a big change, and my mom supported me a lot. And then as far as athletic training goes, a lot of my preceptors at South Florida were really great people. Greg Bird, who is the men's basketball athletic trainer at USF, he was really a great athletic trainer to learn from. He's very knowledgeable, and being a student under him was a great experience because I learned a lot, and I learned what kind of athletic trainer I want to be from him.
Okay, awesome. So you've been in New Orleans for a little bit, and I know that, you haven't had probably the chance to go out as much as you would, but have you found what's some of your favorite foods that you found so far in the area?
Honestly, I'll be honest, I haven't gone to a whole lot of places here, just for the simple fact that I'm a homebody, and especially now the pandemic is giving me an excuse to stay at home and not be out with other people. So I haven't really had a chance to try a lot of things, but I do really enjoy crawfish. I've learned that I like crawfish a lot because I'm a seafood person, and it's just something about crawfish. It's amazing.
No problem. When things are safer, I'm sure you'll have the opportunity to explore a little bit more. The same with me. But I asked some people, like, oh yeah, I found this great place that delivers everything else like that.
No, I've been sticking to cooking. I'm trying to,
So
get more
you can go
cooking.
that direction. Like, what do you enjoy to cook? What are some of your dishes that you enjoy cooking?
Yeah, my favorite thing, I do a Taco Tuesday almost every week. So it doesn't always have to be tacos, but it could be like a shrimp burrito bowl, which is like rice and beans and avocado and sweet potatoes, or I could do tacos, which are just some shrimp tacos. That's my go-to.
Awesome. Oh, we'll get into some of your other favorites. Do you have a favorite movie?
Do I have a favorite movie? Yes. This would be childish, but Lion King is my ultimate favorite movie.
No problem. Do you like the cartoon Lion King or the original Lion King or the remake of the Lion King, the live action?
The original Lion King
Okay.
will hold.
No,
It holds dear to my heart.
no problem. I think that's a lot of people's favorite. So it's very inspirational. So no
Yes.
problem at all with that one.
Yes.
So how about music? Are you into any, what type of music are you into?
I think my go-to music in the morning that I listen to is gospel music. It gets me in the right frame of mind for my day. So anything gospel, whether it be from like Travis Green or Jonathan McReynolds or the Clark sisters, that gets my day going. But while I'm at work, I like R&B music. It's a nice chill vibe. It gets you through whatever situation. It's nice background music to have going.
Nice, nice. And I know that right now it's probably limited what you can do, but what are some things you enjoy doing in your free time when you're not, working here at Dillard? What are some things you enjoy doing?
Um, Without the pandemic happening, I think my biggest thing that I enjoy is just spending time with my friends and family. We in Chicago, we have opportunities to go out to places like Top Golf, which are I like outdoor activities. So Top Golf is like an indoor outdoor activity, and then I also like laser tag. I had a great experience like laser tagging last year, and I'd never laser tagged before, and so it's been a consistent thing ever since then. So those are a
Well,
couple
I'm sure
of things.
once it's safe, you'll be able to find some a similar place at Top Golf. I know they've got some laser tag places around there. And once it's safe, I'm sure that you'll be out there and probably taking names.
For sure, kicking butt and taking names.
So, what was your first ever job?
This is my first job.
Okay, I meant like okay.
Oh, prior to this.
Yeah, prior to this, I mean, like growing up, a lot of times, you might work fast food,
Yeah.
you might work in the shoe store, you might work at the mall. So what was your first ever job?
So my first ever job was as a dance instructor. Like I mentioned,
Really?
I've danced my entire life. And so when I got to high school, the owner of my dance studio asked, because I'd been assisting a few of my dance instructors for a few years, and she asked if I wanted to teach a couple classes, and I said yes. if I can do what I'm already doing and get paid for it, absolutely, I'll teach some dance classes.
Awesome.
That was a really cool experience.
Was there any like an age range that you taught?
So I started off teaching, I think they were 3-year-olds. I started teaching the 3-year-olds, and then I also had a 4- and 5-year-old class.
So, well, and I imagine that there's certain, challenges built into that. Like, like attention spans are probably really short, and getting to kind of follow instructions can probably be, more difficult some days than others. Because a lot of times you're dealing, you're similar to in a teacher as far as like, like a preschool teacher.
Right. I think the biggest challenge on like that first class that the 3-year-olds have, I'm a new instructor to them. They've never seen me before. They don't know what to expect. So it's kind of challenging trying to pry the little ones away from their parents. Like, your mom, she'll be right here. We had, I was at a studio, we got to a point where we could have a video in the classroom, and in the waiting room, there were monitors so the parents could watch the class. So I would say, your mom can see you on the monitor, walk them to the waiting room, like, mommy's right here, she can see you dance, you want to do a great job for your mom. And then they would kind of calm down, and I would be able to teach the rest of the class without issue.
So make sure you put them at ease, and then it's a lot easier to teach them when their mind and their bodies are at ease. They know that they're in the environment.
Exactly.
You mentioned you're from the Chicagoland area. Are you from Chicago or from the suburbs of Chicago?
Nope, I'm from Chicago.
Okay.
From the south side of Chicago.
Okay, south side. Excellent. So when obviously from being from Illinois and from Chicago, that's going to be a topic of discussion. When you're talking about like the athletes that come in that aren't from Chicago, what do you brag about like when you talk about your hometown?
I think the biggest thing I brag about is probably the food. I know a lot of my athletes that are from New Orleans, they always talk about how New Orleans has the best food. But my argument is always like, no, Chicago has great food. We have great pizza, and we have deep dish pizza. It's a draw. You will definitely enjoy deep dish pizza going to Chicago.
Excellent. So which deep dish is your favorite from Chicago?
So this is where it gets tricky. So my
Okay.
favorite deep dish pizza is actually not in Chicago.
Okay.
I went to undergrad at University of Illinois, which is in
Yeah.
Champaign-Urbana, and they have a restaurant called Papa Del's.
Okay.
That's my favorite deep dish
Okay.
pizza.
Excellent. Excellent.
So still in Illinois, just not
Yes.
Chicago.
Yeah, just a little farther down south. I'm familiar with Champaign, but I'm
Okay.
probably the only one
That would understand.
Exactly. So,
Yeah.
so every time I pass you, you're smiling. You're in a good mood. So, what is your key to happiness?
My key to happiness, I think my key is just to be happy. I know that sounds just so simple, but it's a mindset for me. I know everyone's going through a tough time right now, right? This is a hard time for a lot of people, and I'm very grateful to be in a spot where I am. And so I just think on everything that I have, right? I'm able to work right now. I was able to move during the pandemic. I am fortunate enough to be in a work environment that's very positive for me. So I focus on those things, and it just helps me to stay positive and be happy.
Awesome. And my last question to you is, obviously you're working as an athletic trainer now. So what's your ultimate career goal? Because a lot of times, people in athletic training, they can go any direction in the medical field. So is your ultimate goal to continue in the field? And I know it's very early, but as you think about it, like, is it to continue being an athletic trainer or to go to another side of the medical field?
Right now, I want to continue as an athletic trainer. I think my biggest thing as I progress in my career is that I want to pick up skills. So whether that be getting my CSCS, which is a strength and conditioning certification, or getting other manual therapy techniques certifications under my belt, I think that is my focus right now. So I love athletic training, and I hope to stay in the career for a while.
For sure. I mean, like, no problem with that. It's just, I know that a lot of times athletic trainers, like with their medical background, they've got like ultimate goal, like, to be doctors or some, this is just like the first step to their world domination scheme. So,
well, I'll get there. I want to dominate as an athletic trainer. Okay. I want to be an advocate for our profession and help it grow. So
no problem. Well, I appreciate you taking the time talking with me, Brittany. This was a very enlightened and wonderful conversation. So
no problem. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.